Welcome to the FIREchat podcast. I'm your host, Rich Rice, and today I have with me on the show, Rebecca Patterson. How's it going?
Hi, doing good.
Good. Becca, I just called you Becca. I noticed you go by Becca, but on all your stuff it says Rebecca.
Yeah. Just publicly and professionally, it's Rebecca. Okay. But then people always end up, you get on that nickname basis.
Nice.
Becca.
Nice. So Becca is our newest sponsor. She runs a company called Culinary Digital, and I'll let her talk about that in a little bit. She does a lot of social media marketing and stuff like that, which we're going to go into. And so Becca, what, we usually start off with things. So the financial, it's FIREchat podcast. So financial independence through real estate. So, my first question for you is like where, and we'll get to Kona Rise and all that, but like financial independence, what does that mean to you? Is that something you're interested in? What is that?
Financial independence is why I do what I do.
Awesome.
In everything. Literally all of my choices since I was probably a sophomore in college has been to reach financial independence.
Wow.
And retiring early and even through real estate.
Awesome.
So the fact that we're even being able to work together is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So was there a gateway drug that got you into financial independence or?
Yeah. So I was in college and one of my first internships was with a real estate investor, and she needed help growing her personal brand and basically rebranding herself. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And it was just her and her husband and their daughter. And we went to go film at their house in Pasadena, and her home was massive. And they had a cloud couch. A cloud couch was just like you sit in it, you just sink, and you just feel amazing.
Really?
Yeah. And they had like a beautiful backyard. This is like in LA County area. I was like, whoa, how can you afford this? She's like, oh, well, we have units and she named apartment complexes all over the country. And she was also working on her personal brand. So I was like, whoa, I want to get in on this. And so through osmosis and working with her, I learned so much about social media, but then also about real estate investing.
Very cool.
And that was the introduction. But I would say the gateway drug, I just couldn't get enough, was once I entered the workforce and realized how hard it is to go to work every day.
Nice. I like that. That's the new one. Like the drug was the poison, I guess.
Yeah. I was like, I'm getting paid and it's salary, but I'm working probably at that point, it was 70 hours a week. I was working in journalism and news. So it's a 24-hour news cycle. And I was like, I love journalism and telling stories, but when it comes to actually having to trade time for money, I was like, I don't think I can do this sustainably. So I need to find a way to get out. And so at that time I started paying off my student loans. I went to live at home with my parents, was working my big girl job. Everything was going towards paying off my debt. But my introduction was through Dave Ramsey. And so
really? Okay.
Yeah. So I did the whole thing. You don't see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there. Everything's going to pay off my loans. I pay them off pretty quick. And then after that, I was able to start saving money for myself. And then ended up getting my first property. And then now I started Kona Rise Digital to where I can trade more of my expertise for money and then build a team so that I can get that compound effect. But really, financial independence is that's one of my drivers. I always say that I want to be a trust fund kid, and I'm probably going to build my own trust fund.
Awesome.
Unless there's a relative I don't know about.
Yeah, I know, right? That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for that one that I don't know about.
Who knows? Yeah, it might just show up someone will come knock on your door in the movies Richard, we have something for you.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. It's funny. I'm sure you've told me that story before, and I just didn't realize it. Now that you would, the cloud couch sounds really cool. Yeah. I really want one of those. Because I love I don't like hard couches.
It's so soft.
I spent I got this really nice couch. I never had a nice couch. I just had hand-me-down couches forever. And I finally bought a nice couch and I ordered it online because it was this certain size that we needed to get. And I wanted a chase lounge and a recliner built in, and I got it. It was so hard at first, but it loosened up. So it was it got softer as the more we sat in it. But the cloud couch sounds legit. Yeah. So then you saw. That's really cool. You saw people right from the get-go that were hiring you for something else or bringing you on for something else, but then you saw what they were doing and you were like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
awesome. And then, so do you still talk to those people?
Yeah. And one of them, I interned with her way back when, and she just came on as a client for like another service that I offer. So we're like, whoa, it's full circle. It's been like over a decade now. Yeah.
And they did mostly apartments?
Yeah. Yeah. They have, apartment units, like building, like they'll get land and they build apartment complex on it.
Gotcha.
I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
That's cool. I think it's funny that you mentioned Dave Ramsey, because most of the time, like in the real estate investing circles, not that Dave Ramsey doesn't have some good ideas, but and I wouldn't say he's shunned by any means, but his advice goes to a certain. So what part of that, like the financial independence piece, what caught your eye about Dave Ramsey?
I would say one, budgeting, because budgeting is just like trying to eat on a diet. Like you don't realize how many calories you actually eat till you look at your numbers. So one, being cognizant of how much I was actually spending, what was going out, how much was coming in. So that's like just fundamentals.
Yeah, because he tells you to like write everything down from like start to finish. And like whole month, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
doesn't matter if it's $1 or
it's like every dollar has a job. That's his thing. Just fundamentals, because I needed that. I was never into math. I didn't like it. And then the freedom part of not having to owe somebody, because at the point I was owing to the point where my money wasn't being invested. So that's now where I like, if my money's making money for me, then that's good. But like going to student loans just kind of waiting around, it just irked me.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And yeah, but it was something we took a class, me and Caitlin took a class last week. I feel like it was last weekend, but maybe it was the weekend before. It was the weekend before. And he's talking about how every dollar is like a soldier, and you want those soldiers out there working for you. So because Dave Ramsey, he's very anti-debt, right? Which for real estate investors, like that only goes so far. For us, because we are basically putting debt to work for us. And responsible debt, like not just credit card debt.
Yeah.
So do you still follow a lot of Dave Ramsey stuff, or?
No, like just the fundamentals of like money management. Yes. In my business, like I take on debt. And then for myself, like now I just put everything on credit cards so that I can get points, and then I just pay it off.
That's what I do.
Yeah, airline.
Chase Freedom.
Yeah, I have that
Sapphire
one.
now.
Yeah. I have that card. So like not the debt stuff, no, because I feel like there's a certain type of person that needs that information and it works for them. But I feel like I've kind of graduated from that.
Ideally, I think that's what, I think that's what we people that bring up Dave Ramsey, it's like, yeah, like you get it together. Like you don't want to pay off your 3% car loan right now, but definitely getting your credit cards and your expenses in order and know where your dollars are going and all that stuff. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff. So most people say Robert Kiyosaki is like their first one.
Love
So
Robert
I haven't had Dave Ramsey yet.
Well, Robert Kiyosaki was my intro to real estate. It's something I'd always wanted to invest in. And then I started looking for homes with my real estate agent, who's also an investor. And we're looking, and the prices were just crazy. And she gifted me cash flow. And so
the board game?
Yeah. So I would force, like when I'd go home, I'd force my brother and sister to play with me. And my sister, not so much. She didn't really like it. My brother loves numbers and money and everything. And so we played cash flow a couple times, and my friends too. And then finally, then I came across my first property, and I was able to, right away, I was like, this is the one.
So cash flow teaches you real world lessons.
Yeah.
Right?
And the funny part is everybody who plays, like you manage money how you manage money in real life. So like me, like I paid off my debt first, and then I saved and then invested. And then my brother, he just stacked his cash, never paid off any debt, but just stacked. And then someone else, like they just invested in every opportunity, but didn't save anything. So it was just funny.
So who got out?
I actually got out. I didn't get out yet, but I've been the closest. We play like the long, well, it takes forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like Monopoly. That game can go a long time or a short time, depending on what kind of house rules you put into it. And do you guys play the actual rules?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've done that yet.
It takes forever.
We try and speed it up. We're actually doing like cash flow game in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I want to come by. I love cash flow.
I remember when I first met you, we were talking about, me, my brother, Brennan, you and Gabby were all, and that came up, and you were like, I don't meet that many new people that are like, yeah, I know what cash flow is.
Yeah.
It's usually one of those games that people are like, what?
Is there math? Yeah.
It's like Monopoly. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to be a jerk. The idea is collaboration and working together, so.
Yeah.
Right on. So you've had a very healthy dose of an introduction to real estate kind of, from in college, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the introduction of seeing like, whoa, that's possible. Like I thought it was just like major corporations, like the Irvine Company or whatever it's called, like that did things like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you can get together with like your other rich friends and then make something happen like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of people stumble on the financial independence stuff like when they've already, been working for 10, 15 years and they're just done, they're miserable and they don't want to go to work anymore. And, and they're trying to desperately like get out. And, I think that's when I meet people that have kind of figured that out a little bit earlier and they're kind of on a head start. That's awesome. You're in a good spot.
Thank you.
So, all right. Well, so what, so you were in college, you got an intro to real estate, and you were doing that as a digital marketing consultant for them, or
I was just their intern.
Intern.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did that look? And what, because now you're obviously running your own, you're not an intern anymore. You're running your own thing. So how did that look? And then how did that cascade you into wanting to do it full time?
Yeah. So it's funny because at the time I was a communications major. I wanted to be a reporter on Good Morning America. That was my goal. And I didn't get the news internship and I was so sad. And so my dad said, "Oh, just call up that one like lady that she's like a mentor within the university." So I was like, okay. So I did, got the job. It turned out to be amazing. That propelled me in my career. So through that connection, I ended up working after graduation. I ended up working at Good Morning America, and I was a journalist, but like a digital journalist. So I wrote news stories. I gathered all of the reporting for the live show, and then I was a host for like their online social media shows. And so at that time, that's when I started to really like social media and realize, hey, I'm actually like pretty good at this. I learned storytelling from them. I learned how to write a hook that will capture attention and make people stop scrolling. Things that translate into marketing. So during that time, that was my first like big girl job out of school. And
that's pretty legit first job.
Then I wanted to be like on the nightly news. Like I'm Rebecca Patterson, like with Good Morning America or with NBC.
You had the pitch down and everything.
Yeah. So during that time though, my only issue was that the news cycle was just so hectic and there's always bad stuff happening all over the world. And it took an emotional toll on me. And so I thought, well, maybe breaking news isn't for me. Maybe I'll kind of switch to entertainment. So I was able to, I had another opportunity because I always had freelance clients doing social media on the side. So I had an opportunity to work with a movie producer at Paramount Pictures and help promote movies and like books and all like the media and stuff. Very cool. So they took me on full time and I worked with them all through COVID and it was amazing. But after the pandemic, I mean, we were actually still working from home, so it was like quarantine was actually still happening. I had kind of hit a wall where there was hours of work to do. The pandemic was happening, so just the pressure and the weight of that was really stressful. Also, my personal life, a lot of things were happening. And so one day, I didn't feel free at all. My student loans were paid off, but I didn't feel financially free. I felt tied to my job. I didn't have time freedom because I couldn't leave my phone or my laptop without getting notifications. And so one morning I woke up really stressed. I was having trouble sleeping. My hair was actually like starting to fall out.
Really?
I was 15 pounds heavier than I am today. Physically, it was taking a toll on me. And one morning I woke up and I was like, I'm going to go for a walk before work starts just to like get some fresh air. And I was waiting at a stoplight and all these cars were driving by, just the morning commute and morning traffic. And I just had a thought, what if I step in front of this car right now? Then I could rest. And in that moment, there was like, that was like a light bulb of like, whoa, like this isn't you, Becca. You aren't in a good place right now. You need to take care of yourself. And it was super scary, but that is what it took for me to really pursue financial and time freedom. And I went home and I put in my 2 weeks at my job. And it was a job that I loved.
Good for you. Yeah.
I had worked so hard for, but I was like, not at the expense of my peace and my health. Put in my 2 weeks at my job. I was actually in a long-term, like very committed relationship. Okay. I cut off the relationship. I quit everything that was weighing on me. Because sometimes we kind of take things on and we kind of push ourselves back a little bit, put other people forward. And I get that's okay, but then not to the point where it starts hurting you start hurting yourself. And it was a leap because I felt like I was going backwards. And I ended up moving home with my parents. And I like healed. Yeah. I took time to heal. I even like went to doctors. I got a full on like hormone test and everything. Thankfully I had a savings so I could do that. And I had my parents who I could stay with them and started to like nurse myself back to health. And I like really deep and hard. I was like, what do I want out of life? Like, I want to be able to travel. I want to live abroad if I want to. I want to have a business that where I'm not like an employee to my business. My business is working for me. And I want to invest. So my money works for me because I can't trade my time for money anymore because it just drains me. Yeah. So I need to find another way to do this. Yeah. And so that was the catalyst. I took the summer off of work, and then perfectly when I was ready to come back, my first client messaged me and he's like, hey, like, are you taking any clients right now? I really need your help. And it was actually someone who was on Dave Ramsey's team who said, I'm leaving Ramsey and I'm starting my own brand. I was like, whoa, like full circle moment.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. And so that was my first client. And then before I knew it, everybody knew me as like the social media girl from Paramount Pictures. And so I just got a wait list. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me show you.
I got a wait list of clients. And it's entrepreneurship is not easy. No. But I definitely like prefer it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's such an inspiring story because I know there's a lot of people out there that you know, that probably have had a similar experience or, you know, and just feel trapped and don't know, like, you know, don't know what to do or, you know, or just scared, you know, and I'm sure that was, you know, very scary. It's at certain points of that of leaving a relationship or leaving a job and moving. Where were you living at that time?
I was in LA.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in Los Angeles.
Okay. So yeah, you picked up and
I went home to Santa Maria.
And went home.
It's like an agricultural, like little town by the coast. It's kind of boring, but it's
pretty up there,
also
though.
Really pretty. Yeah. So it's a perfect place to like heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I've been in that place multiple times and you know, the first time I didn't figure it out. The second time I feel like I did, but you know, I think there's a lot of people that would find that story inspiring. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, I feel like I have to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, especially in what you do, because you know, there's a lot of us out there that want to travel and have time freedom. It's not even so much the money freedom, right? It's the time freedom or deciding where you spend your time. You know, like for me, there's days where I just want to work I'm just in that mode, like out of that mood. I just want to crank some stuff out and wake up at 8 a.m. and I go to bed at 3 a.m. and I just feel like I got like a month's worth of work done.
Productivity train. Yeah. Good.
and then I'm like, whew. And then there's days where I just want to do nothing. But like, I remember those days of wanting to do nothing. It's like they never lined up when I was working for somebody else. Like there'd be days where I'd feel that way, but then I get to work and something would happen or the commute would just drain you. And by the time you got in, it's like that productivity went out the window.
Yeah.
Or, the opposite, like where you just wanted to, do nothing all day and you get to work and it's like you really don't want to do anything all day. So,
yeah.
So with digital marketing and all that, like you went into those jobs originally, and then you decided to do it for yourself. Mm-hmm. What interested you? I mean, you kind of touched on it with when you went into Good Morning America and then you were working on the side. So but as a kid, were you just like obsessed with social media or like, has that always been a thing? Like,
Yeah, I would say as a kid, I was obsessed with storytelling.
Okay.
That is the key. I always called myself an artist, but not like a drawer or a painter, but storyteller. And that's why I liked journalism, and I especially investigative journalism, because you're telling stories. I know, right? Yeah. The deep research. And then social media is a form of storytelling. And that I noticed too, like when you do capture, what captures people's attention is the storytelling that you can do through your posts, your podcast, whatever it may be. And they inspire people, they get people to move, they get people to change their lives. So that is what I love about it.
Very cool. And you've now done that through your company's called Rise Digital, right? What is there a mission there? Is it a branding? What's the goal or your goal? Maybe the company's goals. Maybe they're both the same. Like what is Rise Digital and what's your want, your mission?
Okay, so Rise Digital is a digital marketing agency, and we cater to podcasters and other types of online creators to help amplify their message across social media. So an example, like even like with the podcast here, take long form content, cut it into clips, and especially clips that tell stories and that are going to be savable and shareable to the audience or educational, and put them on TikTok, Instagram story or Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, just we blast it, LinkedIn, like everywhere it can go to help amplify the creator's message across like that online universe. So that's what we do. And then our mission is really to amplify the message for mission-driven creators. So a lot of our clients right now are doing things that help people, whether it comes to like educating in personal finance, in real estate investment, relationships, health, spirituality, people that are making a positive impact on the world.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned, you mentioned it, Good Morning America, that it was a lot of the news cycle is all negative, right? And so you've taken, that love storytelling, but like that's the part you didn't like, and so I see the difference, on what you're focusing on now. It's like you get to choose, the positive side of I guess humanity, and and pick and choose. Like you don't take clients that are, ambulance chasers or something like that, so yeah, and we just started working together. You're a sponsor of the club now, and it's been really cool. It's take the content mostly from the podcast so far, and put it together in a package that calls to people.
It's like bite size, like little cookies.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's I know we just started like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, we started a little bit longer than that, but by the time we got the content all together and out, and it's been cool to watch. It's been cool to watch the. I probably check it more often than I should. I should just let it roll. But I find myself like, I'm like, oh, how'd that one do?
Doing? Yeah.
And then there's ones that it probably is pretty across the board. But tell me, like, does it surprise you sometimes the ones that pop off versus the ones that don't?
Yeah. Really, yes, 1,000%. Because what the data tells us is like what the audience is reacting to. So then that shows their pain points. So if somebody shares a story, and there was a post the other day of like my girlfriend didn't understand, and that we did on the page. And it was like an ex-girlfriend from a long time ago. So it's okay, we could call her out. That one.
No, just kidding. I don't know who it was.
I don't remember how it did compared to the other ones, but I remember being curious to see how it would compete with them. But we got some good views on it from what I remember, but it's interesting because that's a pain point of people wanting to dedicate a lot of time to something, but it's hard because their significant other may not be interested in it too, or also like you need to give your partner attention.
Yeah.
So I was curious how that would do. But sometimes things do pop off that surprise me a lot, but it tells us about the audience so that next month we can find more clips like that and keep serving the audience even better and better and better each month.
And, you know, and we're doing what, 2 a day?
Yeah, 2 a day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah. And there was one. I thought the girlfriend one was probably going to go a little bit higher than it did, and then but there's another one that was like, you know, what are I forget what the title was, but it was like, what are investors, the biggest mistake investors make, or something like that. And then that one went pretty quick. And then it's funny, the ones so how do you like? Because I've noticed, you know, the ones that maybe popped off on Instagram didn't do so well on like YouTube Shorts. And then the ones that like went off on YouTube Shorts, maybe vice versa, like didn't. Is there a reason for that, or is it just kind of happens? Or
yeah, it's really audience right now. Especially when you're first starting out, you may have a completely different audience on one platform than the other platform because you've been posting different content. Whereas your Instagram starting out was more of like notifications, like this event's happening, recaps, less education pieces. True. Whereas on YouTube, it's like straight education. And so it's just a different audience.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Right on. So, interesting. Okay. So what... Is it kind of across the board? Like, do you do the same thing for every person to start out with, no matter what the industry is, or is it like real estate you kind of do over here? And how does that work?
Yeah, like strategy.
Yes.
Yeah. So with strategy, it's very similar for everybody. We like to pull what we think would work and then see what sticks, because you may have two creators in real estate in the real estate industry, but they may have different audiences that want different things. So what works for one may not work for somebody else.
Gotcha.
So the strategy for the first 90 days is that first 30 days, see what sticks. 60 days, we see what works and we keep adjusting it like each month. And then usually we'll get to a sweet spot pretty soon to where we know, like now with my clients that have been with me for a year or more, we're like, oh yeah, we need to cut that clip because like the ladies on Instagram are gonna love this one.
Yeah, you know what they like after a little.
Oh yeah, or this is gonna make people mad. Like let's post it.
Yeah. The Jay-Z one was cool. People are like, what about Kanye?
Well. Yeah. I love social media too, especially coming from a mainstream news background. I love social media because you don't have like the gatekeepers that you do. Like if you want to get on like NBC News or like Live with Kelly and Ryan or one of those shows, like you need to go through a producer who vets you and knows you and is familiar with your work. And usually it's like a publicist that helps them find you. And publicists cost a lot of money. So there's a way bigger barrier to entry when it comes to reaching an audience like that. Whereas if you know the right like strategy and if you can tell a story well online, your content will do good. And then you just refine it with a couple like little like technical things, and you can have an audience that is big as, like I know sometimes CNN gets mad. Like it's like, oh, like this one influencer has a bigger audience than CNN. And so that's threatening. Yeah. But it's crazy because you can do that with a less barrier to entry.
Yeah.
I love that about
absolutely.
social media.
That's that's just the power of the internet, right? Like that's, we've been, look at Uber, like breaking taxi cab, monopolies and they've always been, I think if they weren't scared, at the beginning, there was a certain point that they were like, oh crap, and they're all doing it now. They're all, it's, I remember when social media was still like you could kind of control it yourself, like as a little bit of a hobby if you had a business, and you were trying to promote it, and it wasn't that hard to do things on because nobody was doing it. Now it's become an entire industry.
Yeah.
An entire job, an entire, you can't just.
People have full teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't just, not that you can't, but it's very hard to run an entire business and somehow run your social media at any type of way that's going to get and hold traction, right?
Yeah. Especially because that's why it's good to outsource it if you have the funds to do it or to allocate towards it, because especially if you want to grow, even if you're like a restaurant or brick and mortar spot, you want to be consistent. Like we post, we start at 2 times a day, Monday through Friday. Like as a personal person, that's hard to do because you have to cut
I've tried to do it once a week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even keep up with that.
Energy. Yeah. But it's super important.
And then what, if somebody obviously, they could get a hold of you directly, but if they wanted to what are your packages like, or what are the options for people if they they want to get in dip their toes in, if they want to go full bore, what do those look like?
Yeah, so we have 3 packages. The first one is a done with you. So it's a small group coaching program. It's called the Attract Your Tribe Academy. And I just had a meeting yesterday with the students, but it's an 8-week boot camp where basically I teach you from step 1 to step 8, how to grow your social media presence and attract the tribe for you. Really, it's for somebody who has the time, maybe is a solopreneur, or has a time to dedicate towards social media, and may not necessarily have the funds to hire out a team or editor, all these kinds of things yet. But it's showing you the fundamentals. So that's Attract Your Tribe Academy. The second one is working directly with our agency. So that's a done for you service, which is what the club is on right now. So that's basically, you tell me what your needs are, what your goals are, and then we develop a package and a strategy that's specific for you, and then we manage it for you. So all you have to do is give us the original footage. So give us the podcast clips or any type of video content, and then we'll cut it up. We have the graphic designers to design it, and then we do the posting, caption writing, hashtags, all of it for you. And then we'll send you a data report at the end of the month so that you know exactly how everything's performing. So that's the second package, and that's done for you. And then the third one, and sometimes people do choose this. Sometimes it's like a one-on-one kind of coaching session. So this is the specialty, it's the top tier package. But this is for the creators who want to develop their own in-house social media team, but they don't know where to start. They don't have a strategy. They don't have editors. They don't have graphic designers. They don't have assistants, none of it, but they know that they want to take this podcast game seriously and have a major presence, and they have the funds to do it. Maybe it's sponsors or comes from somewhere. So what I do is I work one-on-one with them, and then we help them. We look at their digital landscape, how it is currently, and we're okay, this is working, this is not working, this is what your competitors are doing, and this is how you can beat your competitors. It's a full-on 10-page PowerPoint on this.
Wow.
And then based off of their needs, then we help them find a video editor, a social media manager, whatever they may need, copywriters, to help their team run smoothly. Then we coach their team for a little bit until they can do it in-house. So
nice. Yeah, that's all really, there's a lot of options there on what to get into. Cause I know for somebody like myself, there was a certain time where, I would have been interested in a package that, it's maybe I'll do a little bit myself, and see just what the best practices are, what the, the industry standards are looking like. Cause I don't know anymore, you know.
And it changes like every 3 months, like literally every 3 or 4 months, there's like new trends.
Exactly.
Happening.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not about, it's not about reels anymore. Now it's about shorts.
Yeah.
Like, now it's the TikTok's gone and this thing's coming in, or
It's like, you're
whatever.
still on Facebook? What?
Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly. And, so, and then there's like the package, the second one where like you said, the club's on now where, it's we've got some good things going, but we need people to take some of this stuff off.
More hands on deck. Yeah.
Like they just don't have the time to do everything anymore. So, and then the third one, like people that have, maybe, they've grown their business to a certain point and they just want to get into it, like you said. And then that's cool. That's cool. So it's very different levels of entry, to get things done.
Yeah.
And is it just you? Do you have a team? Like,
yeah. So, I do have a team, and they're based internationally. So there's people in the States in every time zone, because we have clients in every time zone.
Cool.
So when it comes to posting or whatever it is, like we need people to answer fast. So we have them, and then we also have like our editors and our some social media managers in the Philippines. And I actually went to go visit all of them. We had like a whole like little like office party and everything.
Cool.
So I'm not just outsourcing to just random people. Definitely like developed relationships, like met their families and everything like that.
Cool. And did you find these people individually, or was it like did you hire like someone else, or
individually? Well, I found the first person on Upwork, and then I've worked to really train her and working together, and she was able to recommend other people to me. And then as they come in, we train slowly to where they're eventually like a social media manager and all of that. Awesome. Yeah.
What's your biggest, because I've used Fiverr and some of the end of, for just like basic graphics design stuff, and actually did my accountant. Was from there. But what's your biggest struggle with dealing with people that are working overseas?
I'd probably just say the time zone. It forces me to be more organized and accountable, and get them the stuff earlier. So we have deadlines when things are due, but getting them things earlier so that they basically work when we're asleep, which is kind of nice, because sometimes at the end of my day, I can ask them to do something. When I wake up, it's done, send it to the client, cool. And it's great. Yeah. So it's a pro and con, but it's forced me to be more accountable. That's one. Second thing, I would probably say language, in the sense that, for example, when it comes to copywriting for different clients, there's like different types of vernacular per client. Like if we have like a valley girl, and then we have someone who is like who sounds like Steve Harvey, like that's different. They speak very different. And so when it comes to picking up that type, like the nuances in language, that's because they're like probably second English is like the second language for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't even if they speak it fluently, they're probably not cultural references or or just different regional stuff, slang, and probably gets a little lost.
Yeah.
So do you do a lot of the copywriting, or?
Yeah. So and I've trained them, because there's also like a formula on how to write the perfect caption. Yeah. So it's like we follow
secret.
this, guys. Yeah. It's like the Krabby Patty secret sauce or new Krabby Patty formula. So what I do is I always do the digital strategy and the data deep dive. So I dive into the data, look at how everything's going, and I come up with a strategy on how to approach this client, or how to approach their audience. And I share it with the social media manager assigned to them. And then the social media manager will then, they do the copywriting and the title writing and stuff, but everything comes through me. It's like Wednesdays is the day that I check all the content across the board. And it takes hours, because I change things, I make them shorter. Like nobody has my brain, but it gives me like a good start. But then
editing is easier than writing from scratch.
Yeah. And then as time goes on, they learn the language. So some creators will use certain types of emojis. Other creators like will not use those emojis, like never use a rainbow emoji for this guy. But this guy, like he loves them, so they have to learn those little nuances too. So the longer they've been with the client, the more, they become more familiar. Yeah. And then they meet the clients too, and the clients know who they are, because they're also in like the Slack channel and stuff like that.
Right on. And like, cause I know for ours, I was super impressed, like with a lot of cause you can use like, ChatGPT or something to like kind of like push out some stuff, but it gets a little repetitive and not a little, it gets really repetitive. And, unless you're like, and that's a whole thing, like training prompts and all that. But like, until you figure that out, like if you just tell ChatGPT to like, give me 20 different variations of a post, that only gets you so far. Like that doesn't, I don't know if that really attracts an audience just to have the same thing pasted over and over again, right?
No, it doesn't. With us, we aim to, and ChatGPT is an amazing tool, and we do use it in the agency. But storytelling. We focus on storytelling. And so we want to tell stories through the content. We want to educate. We're like, don't post this if it doesn't educate, inspire, or entertain the audience. And especially with something like with the club, like education is massive because these are people who may have dipped their toe in real estate, or maybe they're at the point where they have multiple doors, but they're so overwhelmed because they don't know how to delegate properly. So we want to make sure that if they don't watch the entire video clip, at least they read the caption and they're going to get value from it and save it for later. So it's like, here are 5 signs you need to delegate, If you need more information on how to delegate properly, come to our Wednesday or Thursday events to learn from people who do this every day. So that's kind of what we do.
So what are the 5 signs that you need to delegate?
Burnout. What else? Anxiety.
Yeah. Burnout,
things are
anxiety.
slipping through the cracks, making mistakes that you shouldn't be making. And you feel like nobody else can do the job like you can.
Yeah, so you really rehearsed that.
I feel like I just edited one of your clips that talk about that.
Did I say that to somebody else?
I don't remember. I feel like I edited it
those are all perfect things. Like because all those go with it. I felt one of those at one way or the other. So, there's a lot of people that and that's why I think hired you and Brennan originally was like, I can't do all this anymore, like I need help,
shouldn't.
So and I mean we got a whole volunteer program we're putting together, and just to run the clubhouse, because there's like I can't be the janitor, the sound guy, the lighting guy, the marketing guy, everything, and trying to be a real estate investor, on the side too, is just the promoter, the speaker, that kind of stuff. The
AV guy,
way too much. Like it's way too much. So and it was manageable until a certain point, but then we, once we got the clubhouse and we tripled the events, and even though I have other people that help me run the events, like it's just it takes a lot of work. So
it's one of those things, like it always takes more work than what people think. It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And more time.
Yeah. Because everyone, people, even social media, I'm guilty of it. Because I was able to, like I said, I was able to run my social media in the past decently well, but it was years ago, and the industry has gotten so specialized that it's, trying to do it now is like, even if I use ChatGPT or whatever, like I said, I struggled to get one post a month, and, Caitlin, obviously helped a lot, and she did stories and built reels, and they all do very well when she's able to post them. But, she's busy being a real estate investor too, and helping me, run the clubhouse and everything like that. So, that it takes a lot of time and energy to do what you do. And, I think people definitely would benefit from your services. I mean, I know you know that.
Thank
but
you.
There's a lot of people that feel like it's just Instagram or whatever. Like, I'm not going to be dancing on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, that's
it's
what
like,
everybody says. You don't have to. You can teach.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just for that anymore. I mean, it's so, there's so much content out there. And then how do you like, what's the key? If maybe this is a secret and you don't want to share it, but like, what's the key to standing out? I mean, there's so much, it's so much more saturated than it used to be. Everyone, I feel like even the people that I follow, that the club follows, old, sponsors and other speakers, and, they're, they all have reels that they're talking about. So like, what do you, in an industry such as real estate, where there's so many speakers or so many, like, how do you stand out?
Yeah. So I'll share one of my little secrets with you and with the listeners at home. This is something that we do with our clients. And then also in Attract Your Tribe Academy is what we teach our students to do. But this is there's like 3 steps, but I'll just give you one of them. There's we call it mixing the expected with the unexpected. So this is the secret, the sauce to going viral, to virality. So I'll give an example of...
Yeah. Where's my notepad?
Get your notes, get a drink, because I'm going to be telling you guys all about this. We'll use an example that everybody kind of knows. So like, let's see. Have you ever seen a video that's like on YouTube, maybe on your suggested feed, and it's like, this is what McDonald's looks like in Japan. And so you
exactly. I just saw that video.
Right? So you click on it because you know what McDonald's looks like, but you don't know what it looks like in Japan. So the expected is McDonald's, the unexpected is Japan. And so just that title, is a winner because it mixed the expected with the unexpected. Another one for a client that we had that went viral, it was my 5-year-old has a retirement account. And we didn't know it would go viral, but it got millions of views.
Wow.
Because we all know what a 5-year-old is like. And a lot of 35-year-olds don't have retirement accounts. But a 5-year-old with a retirement account, that's mixing the expected with the unexpected. So people are like, wait, what? They're for sure going to click on it. Then they're going to figure out how. And I think it's like they gave her she had like a Roth IRA or something like that. And her mom would invest in it. And then let's see. I'm trying to think of one.
How's your IRA?
Real estate. It's fully
committed for the day?
Yeah.
Awesome.
For my Roth IRA and then my, the backdoor Roth. There's like another one that your company contributes for you. So I have like 2.
There's a solo K. The 401k. Well, it depends. There's a couple of them, but there's the Roth, the regular IRA.
Yeah.
The backdoor IRA is like, I honestly don't. I haven't done it. So but yeah, it's something like it's a way to like stuff your IRA around the 60 or 30 or $60, $200 limit, whatever it is.
Yeah, because your company does it. The company contributes for you, but then also personally, I can contribute for myself. So I have those. So yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool.
Mixing the expected with the unexpected. So, for example, let me think. Oh, there's one of my clients interviewed a real estate investor. She had 28 properties and she was 28 years old. So that one also went viral because
properties is 28 years old. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because like that's something that usually is you hear of someone who's older doing that, and he has an audience of millennials. So they're like, whoa, like I want to get into wealth building. How did she do it? And so that is something that's unique. So even for the podcast, finding guests who have a really good story is huge. And then when it comes to titling, you want to pull the most interesting piece and title it that. Before you put like FIREchat episode this, or before you put the names, you want to say like
Caitlin's gonna be watching this, shaking her head. See, I told you, because the other night when we were getting ready to post the last one, she's like, you got to make the titles more interesting.
Yeah, I have to make them sexy.
Like, she's like, you got to like hook people in. And I was like, I don't know. I know that there's all that the science and the rules or well, I don't know about rules, but like, putting it
best
like
practices.
Exactly. Like, but where do you draw the line on like clickbait? Or is it like nobody cares anymore? It's just all clickbait.
I would say when it's a lie.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't want to lie. But something like, so people like numbers. That's another one. So say you have a guest on here who went from making $2,000 a month in her business, and then now she's making $70K a month in her business. So we can say like millennial mom. Let's see, something like millennial mom's insane growth from $2,000 a month to $200,000 a month in real estate or using real estate investing or something like that.
Yeah, something that's gonna not just episode 15, person's name, does design work or something. Like it's got to be because the last one we did, or the one I think I posted on Sunday was Brennan's, and we did like quit your 9 to 5 or something. And at first when she was telling me it, I was like, no, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like clickbaity, kind of thing. She's like, you have to be.
Do it. As long as it's true. That's the thing. And even if you add the word insane, like, or like crazy or like out of this world, like that gets people excited. And you're not lying, because that's something that is unique to be able to do something like that. And it's doing service to people who may see that and end up changing their lives or coming to the club, which is a generation, like that'll change the trajectory of their generation.
Absolutely.
So you're doing God's work.
Pretty much. It's gonna be the title of this one. So right on. Well, so let's
or I have one more tip.
Yeah.
Okay. Also calling your audience out. So if you know, like the millennial mom example I gave, if you know your audience is mainly millennials and women, if you say, instead of just saying how to make $60K a month, instead of saying that, you want to say how this millennial mom makes $60K a month, because people see themselves in the title. So knowing your audience, if they're mainly men, are they mainly investors? Are they like agents? Are they property managers? Like whatever your audience is, you want to call them out so people know what that piece of content is for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you said you'd like, so in the title, so I'm screwing up putting like FIREchat 1, 2, 3, 4, like just right in a row. You're just saying, do you even put the name of the thing in the title, or you just make
You could put it at the end. So for YouTube, we'll do like the catchy title first, then like a line, and then it's for search, because Google is, YouTube is like a library. It's a search engine. It's like Google. So you want to have like maybe the FIREchat episode or like IEREIC, like IEREIC, like in there for searchability. Yeah. But the beginning part is to be catchy.
Nobody cares that it's the 16th episode.
No, the second part is for the metadata. Yeah.
And then how important are those, like the images?
Like the thumbnail?
Yeah, the thumbnail, where it's like they get super, everyone's just got that like, that like the most ridiculous like face pose or
bright
something.
Colors,
And I've been, that's something I haven't been doing at all. I just have one thing and I just keep changing the person's name. And you're looking at me, I could tell it's written on your face. You're like, it's terrible.
It's thumbnails are super important.
Yeah.
It's like a movie poster.
Oh, all right.
So what I recommend, if you want to keep it simple, it's okay to make them all look the same. So there's like a template, and you don't have to be like sitting there like on like Canva or like forever. But when it comes to the words on the title, on the thumbnail, you want them to also be catchy too. Like I fell out of my chair. Like say we're talking and you did because I said something so wild, like that, or even something that might be slightly controversial. Like a lot of people do this with Dave Ramsey, but like she said Dave Ramsey was wrong, or she said Dave Ramsey's a liar. Like that. Like, see, like that's something that you would put in the thumbnail. And you could still have both people's faces, and then that like secondary title on the thumbnail. It just like boosts it for you.
Yeah, and you just want the most leg up that you can. There was and it's so weird because every platform, and this is the stuff that people pay for. Like it's and why I'm paid. It's like there's so much stuff you don't know. That there's these little tricks and quirks and that any professional is going to know, really. I mean, even if it's design or running a short-term rental or whatever, like there's these platform hacks that people don't know, and it would take you so much time and research to be able to find that. Like I worked with somebody else in the past that he figured out that meetup.com had like a really terrible search engine. And like it didn't matter that we had real estate investors in our name of our meetup group. Like it was right there. And if you searched on Meetup's platform, if you searched real estate investors on Meetup, you'd never find real estate investors Riverside. You'd never find us. We weren't even on this. Like you would never find us because our actual event titles didn't have it. Only queried the event titles. So we started adding real estate investors at every single event, and it was like, boom, and that was, so just little stuff like that.
The technical things. Yeah. And every platform is very different from each other. And that's why it's good to know the technical stuff. Even naming your files before you upload them and naming your thumbnails helps with searchability too. Stuff like that, little things like that take forever to do.
Naming your thumbnails?
Yeah, you want to name the file of your thumbnail after the show title. Instead of just like XY7.jpg, like, because that's not searchable. No one's going to search that. But if they search like IEREIC or like Inland Empire Real Estate Investment on Google, then your thumbnails for YouTube is more likely to pop up.
Interesting. It doesn't just hash the file name like once it's uploaded. You're talking about the thumbnail that you upload to like for the episode.
Yeah,
thumbnail?
yeah. You name the file before you upload it to YouTube, and the file for your show too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's important?
Yeah.
Oh, I figured it just hashed everything. Are you serious?
No, it's important. It's like the
Wow.
back end. It's like metadata, it's called. And yeah.
So yeah, I learned something new.
Even for social media, we try to name the files before we upload them.
Really? Really? Yeah, I didn't realize that because I just, whatever my editor sends it back as, I mean, it says FIREchat in it, but you know, it's usually just some like the recording date and, you know, yeah, I didn't realize all that stuff matters. So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of those little things.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I had you on the show.
Yeah. Learning a lot.
So right on. Well, before we go, I want to hear, you mentioned that you have a property or you had a property that you bought. Yeah. Tell us about your, was that your first deal?
Yeah. My first
Yeah, let's hear
deal.
it.
And so far my only one for now.
It's all good. There'll be more coming.
Oh, I love this story. I'm from Santa Barbara County, and property, just like all over California, is notoriously very expensive over there. And so while I was working with my real estate agent, who's also an investor I told you about, shout out to Charlotte, everything was just crazy. And people from the Bay, this is like post-pandemic, people from the Bay were coming down and like buying everything up in cash, and because it was cheaper down there than in San Francisco. And I had
There's always somewhere cheaper.
Yeah.
Or more expensive.
Yeah. I had a neighbor, or my parents had a neighbor who was an older woman who was going to move out and move into a retirement, like senior community. And it looked pretty cool. There's like a pool, like seniors only, like doing cool senior stuff. And she wanted to move. And my dad actually, he found it and he's like, hey, like she's moving. Why don't you go ask her about it? And so I did. And she's like, yeah, like I would love to sell it to you, Rebecca. Like she got it for insanely cheap because she bought it like a long time ago.
Yeah, sure.
And she's like, well, I got it for this much. I would love to sell it for, and she's like, for this much. And she like said it, but for her, it was like, wow, that's a huge, way more money than I bought it for. So I would be lucky if I sold it for that. Me, I was like, that's a steal compared to everything else in the market right now. And interest rates were at 2.5%.
Nice.
At that time. And so, yeah, I got on it. It took, that's when I learned too about, it was more than just like a business transaction, because also found out that she was a hoarder too. And so emotionally leaving all of her stuff, even if she was paying rent on 2 different places at the same time, or her mortgage and like rent, she had a hard time leaving the home initially and moving out. And so that took a lot of like soft skills from me, and then the real estate agent, and then even like my family who helped, because my dad's very diplomatic. And so helping her through that transition, and she almost pulled out. So it was a whole deal, but eventually we had to help her move, because she has no children or anything. We helped her move to this new spot, and we kind of completely redo the house on the inside.
Oh, I'm sure.
And get it renter ready. We closed. It almost didn't happen. After we closed, she's like, actually, I think I might change my mind. Like, this is a big step. I don't know if I want to move out.
After you closed?
Yeah, I was like,
It's too late.
well, like it's kind of late
Kind of on the house
now.
now. Yeah.
But like, it'll be okay. You're gonna love your new space. And she did. She's so happy she did. It was just a lot of emotional stuff to deal with.
And was it hoarder like actually like decent stuff, or was it like true hoarder, like where it's just full of rats and like?
No, there were no animals. She had pets, but we took out the carpet, the floor, and we put tile in, painted, but the appliances were still perfect. And it's a good place. We got it under market. Like literally it's gone up like $100,000 since like I first bought it. And other homes in the area are selling for like way more. So
awesome.
I'm just like,
so what is it, a single family?
Yeah, it's a condo. It's a condo actually. Okay. Yeah.
And you got 2.5?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm jealous.
And so part of me too, because I'm currently looking for like an apartment or something here in Southern California. And I'm like, I literally have like a full on like 3-bedroom with like a yard. Yeah. But it's like, I don't want to live back by my parents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you have it rented out.
Yeah, it's rented out.
Cash flowing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure it's cash flowing pretty well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is it one unit?
It's one unit.
Is there any way you could make it? I don't know about the ADU rules on condos. So probably not. But
I don't think so. But there's multiple
does it have a garage?
bedrooms. No, it doesn't have a garage.
You're just renting it to like one person?
Yeah, she has. I think she has roommates. But it's funny because like they're neighbors, so like she doesn't know that I own it because we have a property management company who, because I'm so far away, I'm always traveling, so she doesn't know. So I'm like, it's just funny. It's like a funny like thing because we're like the same age.
That's good. That's smart. You mentioned two things in there that are really important, and one was talk to your neighbors and talk to your family members because there's more people out there that want to sell a house than you think.
Yeah,
and they'll be gladly willing to sell it. Not all the time, but a lot of times they're more likely to sell it to somebody they know or somebody they trust, especially in a situation like that where it's an emotional thing for them and they're not going to, if she tried to throw that house on the market, she would have been dealing and, with the family that was like, get out, like they're, and you were there to help them.
Yeah.
The second part is solving the problems, is solving people's problems. This is literally, and you just mentioned the soft skills, that's stuff that's hard to teach.
Yeah.
Because you have to, people think they just get the contract and then that's it. And it's not. I mean, you could do business that way. We don't. Like it's about helping people solve their problems. And I mean, we closed on a house a month ago and we still helped the lady move out.
Yeah.
And then she got into her new place and the water main blew like the second day she was in the house. And she hadn't gotten her proceeds. She got her proceeds from the house, but we had held back quite a bit to make sure that her and her crazy friend left. And, so then she moved into the new place and she didn't have her money yet. So we fixed it for her.
Yeah.
And then she's going to pay us back out of when she gets her proceeds. But, it's like that stuff, like taking care of people and making sure that they can move forward and it'll come back to you. Like
I still talk to the woman who sold it because she was a friend too. Like she was a loving neighbor and always baked us cakes on her birthday. And the relationship is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's, all of my neighbors, even if I haven't been able to buy their houses, all of them at this point that have sold, within the one in front, the one on the sides, the actual neighbors, they've all come to me and asked, hey, you think you could work something out here?
Oh, nice.
And I haven't gotten one yet, but because they usually think they're going to come to me and get like full market value minus the realtor fees, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works. But but it depends, So, but that's really cool. That's a really great story on how you got your first house.
Yeah, I actually had an opportunity to get two at that time because there's someone else selling in the complex, and they wanted to sell it to me because they're like, she graduated and we love Rebecca and all this stuff. Because I do talk to my the neighbors and stuff, but that is when that one is like it's like kind of a soft spot because it didn't work out. Just because that's when I was going through like the story that I told you earlier where I was like quitting my job and relationship and everything. And my ex ended up buying that house. Oh, really? Yeah. As an investment property. And I feel like I should have fought for it.
Yeah.
But
I'd say you're way ahead of where we're back then, I'm sure. No, I get it. There's houses that, I wish I would have bought. And could you have bought both of them?
Yeah.
At the time?
At the time, yeah. Because because of the whole like Dave Ramsey thing, I had just stacked my money.
Oh, really?
And then a first time home buyer. And there was like this is cool too, because I didn't know about like what you guys do in here where you get like private financing. So I went through the bank. But there was like this special like loan for if you're buying in a rural area. And I didn't know that that area was considered rural
It's a county.
at all. Yeah. But it's because there's lots of agriculture there. So I was able to like use that, and that helped a lot too.
Yeah, the zero down. Was it the FDA loan? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it wasn't the FDA loan, but it's not offered anymore. But I think it was also in conjunction to what was happening with the pandemic or something like
maybe.
that. But it was like it was a window. Like getting that first place was like definitely a blessing, because also I had quit my job, and then they like last minute the bank is like, oh, can you send us like proof of income one more time? And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, they do those final checks.
Yeah.
They do the final checks, yep.
But the good thing is I had just quit my job, so I was still on payroll. So I explained the situation to them, and yeah, they were able to help me out.
Yeah. Future reference, don't quit your job in the middle of a purchasing a house.
It was an emotional decision purely.
Yeah, that could have gone the other way. But I'm glad it worked out for you. That's really cool. And you have a rental property in Santa Barbara that
It's like
I don't think
15
that's
minutes
ever
from the
gonna
beach.
be a bad buy ever, So, and what's up? Brennan doesn't want to live in Santa Barbara? Or?
I know. I mean, we've actually kind of talked about it,
Yeah.
but it's also there's someone in there and it's cash flowing too. So I'm kind of like, it's kind of nice.
I know. That's our dilemma right now too. Is like we love our house, but it's like the bill that's hanging over us. We're like, we could just rent this house and get rid of this $2,000 a month hole we're in.
Right. It's kind of like that dilemma of, should I buy a new car? Because it's like, it feels nice to drive a new car, or should I just keep my car with like no payments, which is my dilemma right now.
Well, from experience,
No,
I sold a fully paid off Toyota Camry a little over a year ago. I bought a brand new Jeep Cherokee.
That's my dream car.
Fully loaded, I went from no payment to a $750 a month payment. And I scrimped and saved for years and got to the point where I was cash flowing enough. And I was like, all right, well, I've wanted this car forever. I stopped myself from buying it for 3 years. Like literally I every time, something, I had to replace something on the Camry. I was like, I should just go buy the Jeep. And I finally went and bought the Jeep about a year ago, and oh my God, that one thing after another, not anything wrong, just bad luck. With I curbed it on accident, busted a tire, and
You busted a tire.
and then I went off. I bought a really nice Jeep, but then I started off-roading it. So I broke some things on it.
You're supposed to. That's how you're driving how you're supposed to drive it.
Yeah, exactly. But I bought the not off-road package. I bought the nice street package, so it looked all sporty and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I put a roof rack on it and beefier tires. So whatever. But I also got the Hemi with the, because I was like, I'll weather the gas prices. They were like $3 a gallon at that time. And I was only going down the hill. I was only coming down from Crestline to Riverside once a week, maybe. And then of course, since I bought the car, it's just been coming down the hill 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And, it's like $800 a month in gas plus 750 for, I'm just like, so you know what I'm shopping for now?
Camry.
Yep.
Like a Honda
Yep,
Civic.
I used Toyota Camry, 2014. I'll probably
daily
get
driver.
less. Yeah, I'll probably get less. I'll find one for less than because it was right in the middle of when the used car market was going crazy. So I got a lot more money for the car than I thought. But
good.
so I'll probably find another one for cheaper. But still, it's just a funny story. I should have just kept the Camry and just rented a Jeep for the weekend or something and gone off-roading, because that's about how many times I've used it off-road since I bought it. So, but it's still fun. But
Also living up in the mountains, on New Year's when we were with you guys and it was raining and dark, I'm so happy we're in the Jeep right now.
Yeah. And that's true. That was a big reason why I lived up in the mountains, and I definitely needed a 4x4, but I didn't need a $50,000 4x4. So I would keep your car if at all possible, but I know that's hard. It's everyone's like, and you're in that spot. You're like, no, I deserve a nice car. I work hard.
Yeah.
But it's definitely what I still feel like I did this, but then other circumstances changed. That kind of wiped out that cash flow. But take the money, go find another deal on another house that's going to cash flow you the money to pay for the car, and then you're offsetting, depreciating for an appreciating, and you're offsetting the payment that you have the cash flow coming in.
Ideally, like I said, looking for a place. Ideally, I'd like to buy again, and I'm hoping to be in the position to do that Well, also now it's like with the club, it's like there's so much more opportunities than if you're traditionally going through the bank, which is why it's like a huge
It opens up a whole like more
cheat code.
Yeah.
It's like the Matrix. It's like the truth
I don't have to
of
go to
how
the
you can
bank
do
to
things.
buy a house.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'd love to like, I've been kind of sort of looking, not like super seriously, but I'd love to like pick something else up and then even live in it and then rent it out when we decide to go back to like Bali or out of the country again. And just have a renter in there because it feels good. Like it feels good to have something and have cash.
Yeah, and have
flow.
options to come back to. And, you know, one of the biggest things that it's, you know, like I said, we love our house, but, you know, we're kind of looking at some of the other units that are either coming up, you know, for lease renewals or people are leaving or, and we're like, yeah, you know, I like that house. Like I could go live back at that one, you know, again, or, you know, there's other units. My first house, I lived in that small unit on the bottom, you know, and I never lived in the nice big unit on top, you know, and I was like, you know, it's in a really good location, close to town, you know, I was like, maybe we move back there. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so it gives you options.
Yeah. And you can always go back to the house you're in now later if you want to.
Yeah, true. Ours is like nice and quiet, but we are at a time. I did want to talk to you about travel and stuff because, you know, I know you just got back from Bali and, well, not just got back, but so we're going to have to save that for next time.
Well, we could talk about it too. I just have a post goes out at noon and I just have to add something to it real quick. It took like 2 seconds.
It's okay. My HVAC guys here, I hear them. So and we're over anyways, but we're going to have you back on the show again.
Oh, yeah,
so we'll start that next time with the travel. So Becca, if people want to get a hold of you, ask you questions or hire you, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is, I'm going to give you 2 options. One, directly on Instagram. If you go to Instagram at Rebecca Eloisa, RebeccaEloisa. Or you could email hello@konarise.com. So awesome. Hello, HELLO at Konarise is spelled KONARISE.com.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, it's been great having you on the show. That wraps us up for the FIREchat podcast. Thank you for joining us, Becca. And if you want to check out the club, IEREIC.org. Again, that's IEREIC.org. We do like 3 events a week now. Deal making sessions on Thursday. We do education events on Wednesdays and all kinds of stuff in between. So check us out and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.